What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Dermy Wormy. I'm coming at you with two videos today. Later today, we're going to be playing some Conan Exiles over on this channel, along with Silver, I believe, is going to be joining Mustang and Adam and I said that right. Yeah, don't look into it. Hopefully we can get that set up, but for this time, we're talking about something fun. Saw this article on Bounding in the Comics. And again, I'm using Bounding in the Comics, but I saw this article. This goes in my vein. This is beautiful. This is wonderful. I love it. To set up, 1, I hate Kotaku. I hate it with a passion. I've done several videos on my channel critiquing Kotaku, going after Kotaku, whatever you want to call it. I mainly call it critiquing and laughing at them. But they had to put they put their foot in their mouth, and it's funny because as I'm reading through the Bounding article, I'm opening up an old article that I knew of that also gets cited in the Bounding article. I swear to God, I pulled it up before I read the article because I knew exactly where I was going to go with this. It's beautiful. But let's get into it. Kotaku announces racist G4 review of Baten Kaito's origins. Social media calls out their own hypocrisy and treatment of the JRPG genre. So a lot of this, how does this all begin? Well, a lot of it begins right about here with Yoshi P, one of the greatest, trying to be respectful here to him. I view JRPG as a term of endearment. Yes, it does signal them out. Yes, it does separate them, but I separate them for a reason. I do view Japanese role-playing games as better than most American role-playing games nowadays. So that's why I do single them out and try to say JRPG as much as possible. I have tons of respect for Yoshi P. I have tons of respect for JRPGs. I have tons of respect for Final Fantasy. But because he made a valid point on why, hey, it's kind of demeaning separating us like that. We throughout time, the gaming industry was treating us with disrespect. And that's why he doesn't like the term JRPG. He just wants to be called a role-playing game. I can respect it. I can respect it a lot. Well, because of this, Twitter users decided to dig through old archives to show people that were not aware of some of the treatment that Japanese RPG developers and writers and creators were going through. So we had this. For a former G4 video popped up. And honestly, I found the video kind of hilarious. It was an interesting video, and we had a whole Adam Sessler call out. A lot of people came and fought Adam Sessler, as we know. We saw this. I actually did laugh at this. It was funny, but I saw where Yoshi P was coming from. I had respect for it. I was like, you know what? We'll call them RPGs. Call them RPGs, even though I honestly view the term JRPG as a term of endearment. A lot of Americans actually do that now. It is a term that separates you guys out because you guys are oftentimes better than us. Thank Christ. But hey, it's respectable. Well, Kotaku decided to jump on board. And not only is it just Kotaku jumping on board, it's our love, our darling, the woman that I've been waiting for an article written by her to critique her again. I love this woman. From the bottom of my heart, from the very pits of my soul, I love this woman. Because she's a moron. CC Zhang decided to write an article. Old G4 review is forcing gaming to reckon with its racist JRPG past. And I'm going to show you, it's always funny seeing both CC Zhang and Kotaku trying to act like trying to virtue signal here. Trying to act like the moral authority, trying to act better than everybody else. When CC Zhang, one, wrote an article about how Pokemon was mean to normies, was mean to people. I kid you not, that was an article she wrote. She also wrote this doozy. In the vein of Yoshi P, Final Fantasy 16 dev has a terrible answer for why the game is so white. Yes, she decided to say that G4 was racist and they're the moral superiority, even without checking over her own work. What she has said herself. This is peak woke. This is peak virtue signaling, and this is peak comedy at this point. But let's get into this, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to read through this article, because I got as far as about right here, reading through, you know, everything that they said, that G4 thing said. But I'm gonna read you a little bit. Hopefully, I shouldn't have to explain the fuckery of stereotyping an incredibly diverse nation as tech support. They were talking about India. Or openly advocating for the Great Replacement theory, which has been tied to racially motivated hate crimes. The reviewer spends half the time mocking the protagonist's name, which sucks because it isn't made up. Sagi is the Japanese word for heroine, or heroine. I have a hard time saying it. And fraud, both of which have thematically significance in origins. I'd be willing to give some benefits of doubt if the reviewer hadn't I can't continue. This is too funny coming from her. Coming from a woman who complained about Yoshi P not putting in diverse characters in Final Fantasy 16. Coming from a woman who basically pushes racism into everything. If we're talking about JRPGs from Japan being allowed to do their own thing, not critiquing them, not being hateful towards them, you were, Cece. But let's get into what she actually says. So, in a recent interview, we went through that. Discussion only increased when the insulting G4 review Monolith Sophist's JRPG Baten Kaito's Origins resurfaced, leading to former host Adam Sessler throwing a tantrum and refusing to apologize. Discussion of how critics and gaming press have been handling Japanese games have since rumbled up. And yeah, they are actually kind of mean towards them. I go again to Cece complaining about Pokemon, complaining about Final Fantasy, complaining about everything. And when she got pushback, she also made another article saying, I just want the best for them. I want them to be held to a higher standard. No, you want them to be held to an American standard. But now you're not checking under your own foot to smell the crap that you stepped in. Some outlets somewhat reflected on their industry. A piece by Kotaku's Cece Zhang titled Old G4 Review is Forcing Gaming to Reckon with Its Racist JRPG Past condemned it for being racist, such as mocking Japanese names. The author also noted it would have been preferable if the critique over the game's jiggle physics, shout out to jiggle physics, awesome, they're amazing, they're always wonderful, featured a feminist critique without being forced to endure the racism. That critique was made in 2003. 2003, 2001, early 2000s, when this ideology wasn't prolificated, wasn't all over the place, where you could have fun. And honestly, I laughed at the jiggle physics part. I thought that was funny, but I laughed because I like jiggle physics and I do find them funny sometimes, but they also have it's a term of endearment. Jiggle physics is a term of endearment here in the West. We know that it's going to happen. It's a Japanese trope, yes, but it's wonderful. If it's not there, there's a problem. A feminist critique. G4 used to be very, very not PC. And when they went PC, they died within a year. So maybe what they did, even though I disagree with what they did, but at the same time, they're fine with what they did. I disagree with, I try to think of my words. I think what they did was a little harsh, but at the same time, you're allowed to make harsh jokes. You're allowed to have your own points of view. I ain't gonna complain about it. I do think, yeah, that game industry has been very mean towards JRPGs or RPGs. I'm trying my hardest here. Japanese RPGs, but at the same time, you're allowed to have your position. Zhang was also amongst Morgan Webb, had introduced the segment with a joke about Indians or Chinese replacing the US population. I'm all for people growing into a better version of themselves, Zhang clarified. But let's take a moment and recognize that what's racist right now was still racist back in 2006. No, actually, no. No. Because you guys have radically redefined racism. Racism now is, according to you weirdos, is prejudice plus power equals racism. P plus P equals R. While back then, racism was just demeaning somebody based on race. That's what it was. Disliking somebody based solely upon their racial backgrounds. So yes, what is considered racist back in 2006 still is classified as racist now, but racism has changed by your own social justice standards. So you can't be playing that game. We didn't think that was racist. I still don't think it's racist what she said. I thought it was funny because it was a joke. Standards have changed. Well, your standards have radically changed since then. There's no such thing as it was a different time. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. There are jokes of their time when they are more appropriate. As you grow, as I hate using this term, I'm use sociology as well. As things grow, we realize, hey, that was kind of not cool. Back then, it was cool. Nowadays, according to you guys, it's not cool. I still think it's pretty darn cool. Some jokes. There are some jokes that I'm like, let's not do that. But hey, you can do it. Jokes are about the great replacement theory were always dehumanizing, and they made Asian Americans feel like dogs. Dog-ish. I'm pretty sure that means, yeah. The main difference now is that public figures who make racist comments might have to read some mean tweets about it. Zhang defies. Didn't you get mean tweets about your own racist comments, Zhang? So much so that you wrote another article defending your position. Oh my God. I love Cece. I love Cece for YouTube reasons. Because she always gives me content. She's a basket case. And I love it. Despite Kotaku's denouncement, others had taken issue with Kotaku being hypocritical. Many took it as Kotaku's attempt to point the finger at G4's racism while distancing themselves from their prior actions. We have Lavender. I think I've seen this person on Twitter. I'm not so sure, but I think I have, and I'm not a fan. Gamers were the ones buying those JRPGs, Japanese RPGs, and defending them. It was your ilk that were calling them weird and icky, in need of some good old westernization for years. Hell, you guys still do. Yeah? Yep. What do we hear? Forcing gaming, you mean the international hobby that arguably got its modern day start in Japan. Since when did any iteration of G4/X-Play speak for all gaming and gamers? My American arse was particularly raised on JRPGs and Japanese video games in general. Same here. I'm a huge Nintendo fan. I think the main American games that I played when I fully started immersing myself into gaming, Lego, then I went into Halo, Call of Duty. I started doing that, but I was primarily raised on Nintendo. I was raised on Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Final Fantasy. Those games, which were on the Game Boy, were what I played, and GameCube. I love those games to death. They were my first start into gaming. So yes, people have a very close attachment to Japanese games, Japanese RPGs, whatever you want to call them. I still like calling them JRPGs because I think it actually puts them on a higher level than every other game because they are at another level. You have this you retorted, inquired at it's oh no, it's Alex, sharing a screenshot of an article by Kotaku Kotaku UK's Lauren Kate Dale, who basically claimed that the lyrics in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Persona 5 DLC included a disability slur. Alex is straight but obsessed with Blair White. Okay. I actually haven't even read this. I'm curious about that. That sounds funny, but that's an old article. Very old article from 2019. I actually really like this music from Persona 5. I like the Persona 5 DLC for Super Smash Bros. I think it's fun. I love listening to that song. It does not have that, but hey, you know, they're wanting to put JRPGs on a higher standard. That's why we critique them and want to westernize them. We need a old G4 review is forcing gaming to reckon with its racist JRPG past. We're not the racists, everybody else is. Even though we want to radically change them to our own standards. Yeah, that's racism. You got Hatman. Why did I say Hatman? Remember when someone got paid for writing an article because they misread lyrics? Exact same quote. And then you got this one. This one I love. This is truly rich coming from Kotaku, especially the author of this piece, CC Zhang, which months ago wrote up a racist article attacking Japanese culture because they were upset with the lack of inclusivity in Final Fantasy 16. No, all of this stems basically from Yoshi P. What he just pointed out was brilliant as well. What I was going to point out at the beginning of this video before I actually read through all this, because I knew exactly where it was going to go, Yoshi P started this all with his comments that made people honestly think, because they have respect for Yoshi P. So many people respect Yoshi P. He saved Final Fantasy. This man is a legend. He's working on Final Fantasy 16. He's going around doing a lot of interviews. I'm honestly thinking of buying a PS5, trying to get my hands on one, just to play Final Fantasy 16. We come back over here to CC Zhang, who wrote about Yoshi P's own words. Well, misdirected his own words, but still wrote about his words, his interactions, Yoshi P's reasoning for why he created a game, and she said it was what he was doing was racist and we need to change it, even though that is racist by their own standards, because that is a cultural hegemony, I can't remember it. I can't remember what it is. I'm trying to remember all their words. There's so many and it's freaking ridiculous. But CC Zhang then defends this, and I should have brought that article up, by saying we should hold them to higher standards, but that is again going against your own ideology, because this is another culture that we respect. But that's also against your ideology. You can't stifle somebody's culture. All cultures are equal according to you. So then it all comes back to his new words, making you guys have to reckon and then point the finger at everybody else without looking under your own boot. Look under your own boot, Kotaku. Look under your own boot, CC. But please, please, CC, give me more. I love your dumb takes. They're beautiful, they're wonderful, and they give me content for days, CC. But let me get your guys' thoughts on this all down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it out with friends, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video and go live, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.